Well, this morning I'm at Osprey House. Oh, look at that. Wow, I just captured a group of pied stilts just landing, and I think I got some ripper shots. Take a look at them now. Really happy about that. Sorry about the sound this morning because in my rush, I forgot my microphone. So I'm relying on my phone and just the inbuilt microphone on my ZV-1 to get the sound this morning. It's 10 to 10. It's not the best time here because the tide is about 3/4 of the way up. But you make do with what you have. I don't use subject tracking for bird in flight because I've just found that it just doesn't lock on. I came here and I go like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try subject tracking. And again, there was a brownie kite coming here and it just didn't lock on. So like, okay, I'm just going to fall back to what I know. And that is wide area AF small. And that's what I just took all the pied stilts on. I'm still going to try subject tracking. A problem with bird in flight photography is it's a waiting game. If you're not ready, all of a sudden something happens and you'll miss it. Just like these pied stilts. I was very lucky. I was just looking around and all of a sudden I saw this white flash moving around. If I hadn't been paying attention, if I'd just been sitting on this bench here, I wouldn't have seen them because they were right on the right-hand corner there. I'm going to spend here maybe an hour just waiting for something to happen. There's little birds way up in the distance over there. I'm just hoping that as the tide comes in, they'll take off and I'll be able to get a couple of nice photos. And I have high hopes of seeing an osprey because when I parked the car here, and the ospreys here nest on a large pole that they've put here. And from the car park, you can see it. And I look, there are no ospreys there. So George and Hope aren't there. They're flying about. I'm hoping that I'm going to get either George and Hope flying back this way. And I tell you what, sometimes you eat your own word. I shut the camera off. Pied stilt were just sitting down there, just having a feed. I quickly went, had a drink. I'm just gazing here, just looking out. And all of a sudden I could hear this. Gang, 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 gang. It's pied stilts. When they make that noise, they're in flight. This is how I was laying my camera. I quickly grabbed the camera. No time to turn the camera on. I was at 500 mils. They're only about 20 meters away from me. And you can see in these photos here, look how close they were. Quickly zoomed out to get some more photos. And I got some ripper photos again. And I'm thinking, you numbnut, you just told people, you got to pay attention. You got to be ready at any time. And I nearly missed it. If it had been another wader, which didn't make a sound when they take off, I would have missed it because when I would have seen them, they would have been here. By the time I grabbed my camera, would have been all over Red Rover. That's it. Would have been gone. Oh, we've got a pelican coming out. 2 pelicans. Now, do you remember I said why I came here for? I came here for trying to use subject tracking. We're going to go into auto area AF, and I've set the camera up so that in auto area AF, I have subject tracking. And let's see if the pelican flies off, I can photograph the pelican in flight in subject tracking. Now let's see how good it is. Fingers crossed. Let's hope that one of these pelicans takes off. We got 3 pelicans. I just need 1 pelican to take off. Now I've brought my shutter speed down from 1/4000th of a second to 1/3200th of a second. That's all I need. And really for pelicans, they're such a big bird, they don't fly that quickly. I could bring my shutter speed easily down to 1/2000th. I can see there's one flying around here. Here we go. Do you hear how many photos I took? I was at 500 mil in DX mode, so I found it a little bit hard to find where he was. So I zoomed back out to 200. It just wouldn't lock on, but it locked on halfway through. And the problem with subject tracking is as soon as you start taking photos, if it doesn't lock on, the tracking just moves all over the place. Oh. Now I took 39 photos. This is how many were in focus. This is how many were out of focus. So you just saw I took 2 sets of photos in subject tracking. And this is why subject tracking on the Z6II is so hard. This is why I also say that I rarely use it because it just doesn't like locking on. I just feel that subject tracking on the Z6II is just a lost cause. And you've just seen it, how hard it is. And on the second time, I had the same problem. I think I got more photos in focus, but that was because it was just flying straighter. Now, you've just heard me state that I don't use auto area AF with subject tracking for birds in flight because I find it so unreliable. The photos that I took on this day, I was not happy. So a week later, I went back to Osprey House and I spent around 2.5 hours late in the afternoon hoping for an osprey to come towards me. And I was rewarded. And on that afternoon, I just spent the whole time in auto area AF. I want to show you here the osprey because this video was all about hoping to get an osprey using auto area AF with subject tracking. You can see I took 117 photos of this osprey. And when I started, the osprey was quite far from me and I took 60 photos. 56 were in focus, 4 were out of focus. The second set, the osprey was a bit closer. I only took 20 photos. 17 were in focus, 3 were out of focus. And the third set, I took 37 photos. 20 were in focus and 17 were out of focus. And the images you can see here are the first of the series. You can see it's just moving around everywhere. Look at it. And this is how quick it happens at 13 frames per second. It's just so quick. Now this is at half speed. And you can see the subject tracking is just bouncing around, trying to lock onto the bird. I'm just trying to follow the bird around. This is the first image of the first set. You can see how small the osprey is, and the rectangle around it shows you how much I've cropped the image. This is the cropped image here. The image is in focus. Even though it was so small, it locked onto focus. Now this is the last image of the first set. All the crops are exactly the same to give you an idea of how big the osprey is as it's coming towards me. And this is cropped now, and you can see it's just looking towards the ground. This is the first image of the second set. Here it is cropped in. You can see the bird's closer to me now. This is the last image of the second set. You can see it's just plummeting towards the ground. I didn't realize that it was coming downwards. I was just trying to follow it, actually looking towards the ground because it's going to do something amazing. So this is real speed. This is just the photos with exactly the same timing. You can see, look how quick it's going. And now it's flying away. And this is at half speed. Now you can see like it'll just start to climb here. And all of a sudden it just dives down and flying away. This photo here is the 14th frame of the second set. It might look out of focus. Look what it looks like once I cropped it and edited it in Adobe Lightroom. It was sharply in focus considering how much I cropped into this image. Now this is the second image of the last set. It had just landed, its wings are outspread to try to give itself some lift to fly out of the water. And this is what the image looked like once it was edited in Adobe Lightroom. I really like this image. It's just beautiful. All that splash you can see. Now between the third image and the 8th image, they were all out of focus. The 8th image was the first one that was in focus after the third image. You can see it looks far because I was only at 240 mils. I just couldn't lock on, so I quickly zoomed out to try to see the bird because it was just so close to me. And again, you can see it's so small, cropped in, I've got a fairly good image. Not as good as this image here. As you can see, subject tracking in auto area AF can give you some success, but this bird was just coming towards me. So this is why the first set and the second set I had such a good success rate. But the third set of 37 photos, only 20 were in focus, 17 were out of focus. Why? Because the bird was close to me and it flew quickly to the left. Even though I tracked the bird, the AF just wouldn't lock onto the bird as it flew away. So to me, it looks like the further a bird is away from you, the better subject tracking is. The closer it is towards you, especially if it's moving very quickly, the less accurate subject tracking is. At the start of this video, I stated that this was a follow-up video. And in that video, I stated that there was only 3 autofocus modes that I use. And people say, like, why don't you try others? Well, I've learned in life that if something works for you, you stick to it. Why try something else? So for me, why try to use subject tracking if I know that it's going to fail, that I might miss critical shots? Some people have told me in messages, well, I use subject tracking and I get great results. I don't know how they've set their camera up, and I don't know the type of birds that they photographed. It might work for them. For me, as you just seen, it just doesn't work. I don't get the result. Imagine if I was someplace, let's say in Western Queensland, and I see a wedge-tailed eagle take off and start flying. And I'm in subject tracking. I take 40 photos of this wedge-tailed eagle, and he just comes along, flies above me, wings outspread. And then I look and I've only got 4 or 5 photos. And the best ones, when they had the wings outspread, were out of focus. I would have so much frustration, say, why did you use subject tracking when you know that your success rate is only going to be maybe 30% at best? Why didn't you just use wide area AF small? And this is why I don't use auto area AF with subject tracking. What a better day just to spend out here. The sun's starting to come up in the sky here. Oh, here we go. This could be our last chance. Well, that was better. At the start, wouldn't lock on, but halfway through, it ended up locking on. Here is how many photos I took, how many photos were in focus, and how many were out of focus. We'll stop. I'll go down to Dolly's Rocks and see if there's any birds around. So I shut the camera off. I walked back to the car to put the ZV-1 and the tripod away. I looked up and I could see both ospreys, and they were at the osprey nest. And here's photos of them at the nest. Both of them are eating some fish. Obviously, they had gone down towards the river mouth, each caught a fish, and they're devouring their fish on the osprey nest platform. That's why I didn't see any ospreys this morning. And after I took a couple of photos of the ospreys, drove down to Dolly's Rocks, and all that was there was just a couple of seagulls. So I'm here at the lagoon bird hive. And if you remember, I photographed a flock of pied stilts flying around. I didn't know where they'd gone. Well, they're here, and you can see how big this flock of pied stilts is. They're roosting here now until the tide gets low enough for them to go back out onto the mud flats and have a good feed of seashells and whatever else they eat out there. So I hope you can see with this video why I don't use subject tracking for bird in flight, because this is really why I came out here as a follow-up, because I really want to show why I don't use subject tracking. In the video where I talked about bird in flight photography, I stated that I don't use subject tracking because it's unreliable. This video shows you why I don't use subject tracking and the pitfalls that you can have. If you found value in the video, give a big thumbs up, stay safe, enjoy your wildlife photography, and I'll see you next time.